Welcome back guys, it's Chris, and in this video I'm going to show you how to add the password reset functionality to our website. So up to now we've created all the CRUD for our expenses and income. With the settings, we can keep the user's preference. So we have the authentication wired up, but we didn't work on the way for a user to reset their password if they ever forget it. So right now we are going to do just that. So let's start by adding links to the other pages like register, then reset password, and kind of complete up with that flow. Okay, so right now we need to go to our, let me actually make this one bigger. We need to go to our templates, then authentication. So here where we have login, I'm going to add some other links. So this is going to be very simple. Actually, I'm going to use an A. So A href will be, so for the first one, it's going to link to register. So basically this is going to go to URL register. Okay, so this one is going to say register. And of course it has to be spelled out correctly. Let's close our A. Okay, so right here, I'm actually going to make this like a span here. So I can say don't have an account. Don't have an account, then register. Then I can close out the span from here. So this should be in quotes, should be register in quotes in string. Okay, so you see we get this link there. I'm going to create another one for resetting the password. So let's say forgot password. Then we can have reset it here. Reset it. Okay, so now this is going to go to a page where they can supply their email and we send them the link to set their new password. I'm going to call it request password. Okay. Okay, so we need to create the view, otherwise it's going to crash. So in our views.py, so let me actually first make sure it's looking fine. Then okay, let me actually make sure it's in every page. Then I will work on the view just after this. Let's bring that one in. So we already have the reset password. So for now, I'm going to go to the views, so which is in authentication, then views. So down here, I'm going to have to create two views. The one is going to be to request the password. So I'm going to copy this. This is going to be request password reset email. Okay, so this is basically going to have a get request. So with the get request, it's going to render the page where a user can supply their email. So we can return render. So return render, and render takes a request first and then the HTML template. So this will be in authentication. We are going to render a file called reset password. Actually, it's going to be reset password .html. Okay, so now that we have the view, we are going to need to also take the user's email. So we need to handle a post request. So post, and then we will get back to this later. So right now that we have this, let's register it in our URLs. So urls.py. So path. So the path is going to be something like request reset link. So this one is going to go to the view. It's going to be called request. This one. Just import it and then bring it down here. Then of course we call as view. Then we need to give it a name. So the name here can be request reset link. So Let's bring it in. Okay, now that we have the view, we don't need the trading slash. Make sure I remove that. So once we have the view, now we can test it out. So let's go back to our application, reload. So we have an issue. It should be request password. Let's make sure that's how we are calling it. Yeah, the name should be request password. Okay, so make sure that is how it is. Reload, then you can see we get these two. But they are really not looking great. I would want to push them in the middle. So let me actually try to do something with them. Okay, so this is the login template. So login. So these two, I'm actually going to create a div. Let me make it a container. Close it out. Then let me bring them in here. And then it would be good that they be contained in the card. So in the card body, I'm going to now bring them in. So copy, actually cut them out and bring them here below the form. So you just reload. So yeah, you can see that now it's looking better. I'm going to add some class here to make it a bit bigger. And do text. I believe there is lead. So lead. Okay, so let's have the same thing for the second link. Come again and reload. Can see now this looks a lot better, but I want to add a line break on the first one. So right here, I'm going to add a BR. Okay, let's reload. And this is looking much better. Good. So let me copy it and take it to the register. Delete all this. Come over here. So here on the register, we basically want to go to login if we have an account. So we can change this to have an account. Okay, so going back here, reload. This is looking fine. Click register. So there's an issue. Reverse for login not found. This is because I'm passing a capital L. Sorry, it should be small L. Reload it. Okay, looking good. This is looking good. So now that we have this, clicking on the reset takes us to a page where there's nothing. So we need to work on this. Okay, so to work on that, I'm actually going to get everything that I have on my register. Then we will work to change the content. So let's start by changing this to please enter your email to get reset link. Okay, so the form is going to submit to the same view. So the view now is, if we look at our URLs, the view is request password. So we need to submit to this. Okay, then we are bringing our Flash messaging just so we can show those messages on the page. Then we are going to need to keep only the email. So I'm going to allow me to delete all these other fields we don't need. Delete all this stuff and only keep the email. Alright, so don't need this. Sorry, we don't need all of this. Then I'll change register to submit. Okay, so with the values, basically we can, I believe we are going to call it values in the view. So this is what we can use to prefill the form, like when a user submits an email that's not like varied. Okay, so we can keep their previous value. I'll show you how we do that. So now let's take a look, reload this, and yeah, looking good. Yeah, so let's change this one to don't have an account, sign up. So this should be don't have an account. And by the way, guys, I have videos about how to do all the features you've seen, so you can check them down in the description. Also, you can take a look at the playlist. There might be something cool for you. So this should be going to register. Okay, so coming back here, everything is good. So let's work on submitting, like sending an email to the user when they submit an email here. So right now when I submit an email, I basically keep on the same page. So let's work on the post request. All right, so right here, we can pick the email. So by doing email equals request.post, and then the key is email. So this matches the name in the view, in the template. So this should be same to this, okay, which is now same. Okay, so now that we have the email, we can check if it's valid. So if not validate email, then email, then we can tell the user there is an error. So messages dot error, takes in a request, then we say please supply a valid email. Okay, so once there is no error, now we want to work on sending them an email. So the way we do that is I'm actually going to pull up the how we did it in the registration, which is here. So right here we get the current site, then we create the link, then we prefix it, and then we send it like this. Okay, so I'm going to pick that, then we'll like walk over it and customize it to our needs. So right here, so if the email is not valid, of course we want to send them to the same page. So I'm going to bring this one here. I'm gonna copy it even here. So we return a render to the same page. But then I mentioned that we are going to need to be able to prefill the user information. So if I submit an email that's not valid, you should keep the previous submitted email. So that we do it in here in the view. So we can create a context object. So a context dictionary. So this is going to contain values, and it's going to be request.post. Okay, so now we can send the context in here, and that should do the job. So we can see that we are constructing the email body. So this actually should not be email body. I'm actually going to call it contents because we are not actually sending it as a body. So I'm going to change it to contents. Then we basically won't need the user, at least I think for now, but we are going to need the user actually to create the UID, the encoded tokens that we send in the email. Okay, so let's get the user here. So user equals request.objects.get. Okay, so right here, if a user submits an email that doesn't exist, this will crash the application. So the remedy, the way we can solve that is by using like a try catch or get object of 404. But what I'm going to do is use the filter, because the filter actually returns for us. The filter will return for us like a query set. So the query set, it can always be empty or more, but it doesn't crash. So email equals email. Okay, so here we can check if user exists. So if the user exists, then we want to send them an email. So if they don't, so let me first put a post there. So if they don't, then we can tell them that we have sent you an email, because most of the time someone is going to come to the site just to check if someone's email has an account on your website. So it's always good to send them a generic message like we have sent you an email. So I'm going to say messages.success, and takes in a request. Then we have sent you an email. Okay, to reset your password. All right. So now I'm going to move this one up in the if, so which will be right here. So I need to tab this one over like this. Let me make this one scale So now we change this one to be email contents. We have a user. So filter returns a query set, which can be one or more. So now the user is going to be the first one. So we do user 0. Like I mentioned, you can do it in other different ways, but this is also equally fine. So the domain, we already have it using get current site. This should be user 0 because, yeah, we are going to be, so our user exists in the first index, since this one returns a query set. Right here, we are creating the UID from the user's primary key. Okay, so this is going to give us the other generic code that we can use back and forth to move between URLs. So this one here, I'm actually going to use a class called password reset generator. So I understand we had used some utility in here, but this was meant to help us activate a user and make sure that they don't use the same link to activate. So meaning we would pass the isActive property. So whenever isActive property would change, then we would know that they had used that link before. But for the password reset, it can entirely be managed by Django. So here from Django .contrib .auth .tokens import password reset generator. Okay, so this here will take care of maintaining if the tokens are valid or not. So we don't have to worry about it like we did with the activation of the email. So right here, we are going to use this exact class. So you invoke it and then you call make token. So make token takes in a user. In our case, it's going to be the first instance in our query. So once we have that, then we create our link. So our link, let me actually change this. So our email contents, basically these are the items we are going to need for the email. So that's why they are there. So now let's replace it. But of course, you can rewrite it in any way you want. I just want to show you how you can put it together. Let's change the email subject. So it's going to be password reset instructions. Okay, so I'm going to change this to be reset URL. Reset URL. So also, you see how we created the link for a user to go to when they are going to set a new password. So we are going to also need to create a view. So the view is going to have a unique name. I'm also going to now call it reset URL. So I'm going to call it reset user password. And of course we need to create that view, but let's first complete down here. Okay, so when you're using the email message class, you give it the subject and then the body. So in the body, I'm going to remove this dynamic username so we can say hi there. So we can have hi there. Please click the link below. So we can say click the link below to reset your password. And then we need to pass the reset link. Okay, so that should do. Now looking at our reset URL, basically what it's doing is it's getting our current domain and then it's concatenating there the link. So the link, like we said, it's going to be a view that takes in dynamic parameters. So one of them is going to be this UID, encoded UID, and then the token. So we need to create this view. So to create the view, I'm going to go down here. I'm going to create a class. I'm going to call it complete password reset. Then it's going to take in, it's going to be just a class. It's going to import from view. It's going to extend from view. So here we need a get and a post. So the get will be responsible to take a user somewhere, and then the post is going to be responsible for setting the new password. So def get self request. So right here, now we can return set new, return render. So we are rendering, we're taking a request and then a template. So the template we are going to render now is going to be in authentication. Then this is going to be set new password with HTML. Okay, so for now, I'm going to do the same thing for the post. So this is going to be post. But then one thing I want us to notice is that this view is going to require us to keep giving it two things. So one of those things is going to be the encoded UID and then the token. So we need to expect these things. So right here in our route params, so you pass that, also pass the token. Okay, so that's going to be the same thing we do for the post request, because you're going to need to maintain these tokens at least until the user sets a new password. Okay, so once we have these files to match our complete reset views, so let's go ahead and do that real quick. So right here, I'm actually going to use the activate as a starter, because they're going to look a lot similar. So this one is going to go to set new password, and then it's going to take in the ID, then the token, of course. Then this one is going to, let's import the view correctly. So right here where we have set new password, now we can use our view, and then we can use our name. So the name we are going to use is going to be reset user password. Okay, so this is going to be reset user password. Okay, so right here, if we come and reload, you can see we come to the view. You select the email, click submit. You can see it's taking some time, so it's sending the email. And at the end, I'm going to show you how to speed up this process using multi-threading. This is really slow. I don't like it. So look how long it took to send us an email. But I'm going to be changing that in a bit. So coming back to my email, you can see that my email has arrived. If I click on it, you see we have an issue. So it's telling us that template does not exist. That's most probably because we misspelled the template name. So let's come back over here and see how the template is called. So it's set new password. There isn't a dash. So I'm going to rename it. Then reload. So I'm going to reload here. Then you can see that now we are redirected to our application. So if when a user clicks here, we go to our application. So right now what I want us to do is basically create a form for them to set a new password and also validate that the token was not used. Okay, so I'm going to use the same things, the same fields, the same password fields in the register. So I'm going to replace everything here, and let's walk over it. This is going to be set your new password. Then this is going to go to, so pay attention here. So this is going to go to this view, but then this view, we expect us to give it these two parameters. So for us to get the two parameters, we can set up a context dictionary. Let's bring in these two and see how we can send them to our view. So send them to the view. This will be the token. Let's send the context. So once you have the context, that means we can access these two. Okay, so we'll do the same thing for the post. Let's also send the context to the template. Okay, let's go back to our template and modify it accordingly. So that is set new password. So right here, we are going to be sending to this view. So this is where we're going to be submitting our form. So here, where is it? So here, let's replace it. And now that our views expect us to give it the tokens and the UID, we basically have sent them to the HTML in the context object, which means we can directly access them down here. So for us to pass them, you leave a space after the URL declaration, then you can send these two. So one is going to be, let me just use the same name. So this is going to be this, then leave a space and then pass the second one. So the second one is going to be token. Okay, so that's why we are going to submit, and then we are going to submit with this information. And you're going to see how it's helpful, so we can be able to validate that the user actually hasn't used the link before. Okay, so we don't need the username. Let's get rid of it. Don't need all this stuff. We don't need the email. We don't need this. What we need is the password. So we have password 1. So the toggle functionality, we can actually keep it. Yeah, sure. Let's keep it. So we have password. Let me also set up a password 2, just so a user doesn't. Just so we make sure that the user has changed it to the password they have preferred, because odds are, by the fact that they are able to forget it now, they might also forget it later. So let's try as much as possible to help them set a password that they will remember. So this will be confirm password. Okay, so in this case, the show will not be a lot important, but I'm gonna keep it in there. You guys can modify it if you want. So the value here will be submit. Then these links, I think, can be, let's change this one to go to the register. No account, register. So this of course goes to register. Okay, looking good. So we can keep this because our toggle works with it. We'll test our luck. So if you go back to the page and reload it, you can see that we have our page showing up. And it's not looking great. So the type can't be password 2, it has to be password. And then this should be in a form group. This should be in a form group. Looking good. I wonder what this one is even closing. I don't think we need it. So let's remove it. Come back and reload. Come back and reload. So yeah, this is looking a lot better. So now let's try setting a new password. So let's actually check our luck. This is working. So the first one is working, but you guys can handle the second one or however you want. Let's continue resetting the password. Okay. So if we go back, now in the view, right here in the post, we want to be able to pick the user's new password, validate it, and then set it, and then change it, and then tell them to log in with the new password. So here, I'm going to pick the password. So the password is going to go to be request dot post, not pist. No one is pist. So this is going to be password, and then we will have the password 2 because we want to compare them. It's going to be password 2. It's going to be password 2. Then let's check them. So if password 1, if password is not equal to, so it can be 1 equals to password 2, then we can tell them that passwords don't match. So messages error, then we say passwords do not match. So messages error takes in a request at first. So we tell the user that the passwords do not match. Then of course we need to render this page again. So now we can return render. So if they match, basically we might want to enforce other restrictions, but that's not the biggest point of this. So right now, I'm actually going to also check if the password is longer than, is at least 6 characters. So I'm going to check if password, so this is going to be if len password is less than 6, password too short. Okay, so basic validations. So now this would mean that the user basically is submitting a new password that's actually correct. So for us now to be able to set the user's password, we are going to use this UUIDB base64. So we are going to get the ID from this. So for us to be able to get the ID from that, we are going to use a utility called URL base64 decode. So this takes in the basically the string to decode. So this is what you're going to decode, and it returns it in byte format. So we need to turn it into a string by doing this. So I'm going to use a treat called force text, because when we are creating the tokens, we use force byte. So now we can use force text to turn it into a string. So right here, now I can create ID, a variable called user ID equals this. So let's get the user. So user will be user objects dot get. So this is going to get by ID. So pk equals the user ID. Okay, so once we have that, now we can set a new password for the user. So we can do user password equals the new password. Okay, so now we can save this user. Let's save. So at this point, this would mean that we have set a new password for the user. Now we can tell them that it was set successfully. So messages dot success. Then here we can pass a request. Then we can say password reset successful. So at this point, it's a very good idea that we send them to the login page so they can go ahead and log in. So right here, we can return a redirect. So return redirect. So we are redirecting to the login page. So return redirect to the login. Okay. Alright, so looking good. So now that we have that, basically we won't need this one. So I'm gonna go ahead and comment it out for now. So we can tell them you can log in now. You can log in with the new password. Okay, so now we've done all the validations. We've gotten the user, we've set their password, but there is something here that we need to keep in mind. For every time we are trying to decode a string, it's always good we wrap it in a try and catch block, just so the application doesn't crash when this is not able to decode whatever the user passes in. So here, I'm going to write a try except. So we are going to accept all exceptions. So this is also going to help us to see if a user is submitting, like it is like editing the UID from the URL. So this will catch it too. So let me cut all this. Actually, everything is going to go in the try. So cut it into the try. Then we need to at least tab this one over. So in the except, this will mean that something maybe has gone wrong. So right here, now we can tell you that something has gone wrong. So we'll keep this. So it will be info. We're informing them something went wrong. Okay, so now if something went wrong, then we can send them to the same page, the same set new password page, so they can maybe try again. So we can do try again, but most likely this won't be running. So let's now go ahead and test it out and see how it's working. So if you come back to the app, reload, click reset, you can supply an email, click submit, it's going to send it. But for now, I'm going to use the previous one. So when I click on it, you see it brings me to this page. So I'm going to try to submit this. So when I submit emails that passwords that don't match, you see I get passwords that don't match. If I submit ones that match, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4, you see I get passwords too short. So I'm going to use a real one. So password 1, 2, password 1, 2. So you see something went wrong. Okay, so maybe it's something we need to look into. So let's request a new one and use that. So if I come back here, we have a new one coming through. Let's try to use this one. So you come here, you see we basically have a page. Now let's try setting a new password. Click submit. Okay, so let's examine our code and see why the exception would run. Okay, so here, so actually one of the main problems that come with exception handling is because you will most of the times not know what's happening. So here I'm going to add a PDB. Then I'm going to rerun this, try to submit something right, click submit. Then here in the exception, you can try to look at this identifier. Should be identifier. How is it called? See. So alright. So we see that bytes like object is not a string, and that's because this should be decode. So sorry about that, guys. So this should be decode because we are already decoding something that's encoded. You must have noticed that. Okay, so let me remove the debugger, then try again. So I'm gonna say password. Let me try again. Password. Now you can see password reset successful, which is good, which is what we want. So I'm gonna try to log in with a new password. Okay, so this is working and all, but now I think we have one issue. So a user can come actually here and click the same link, and then you can see it takes them to this page. So what we want to do is be able to tell that this link was used before and prevent a user from coming here again. So now to handle the case where a user doesn't have to use the same link, we're going to use the same code like this that we have used here. So I'm going to copy this. Then in our get request, which is here. So after the context, before we render the page, we basically will go ahead to get a user, and then we get the user from the database. So once we have a user, now we can check if that user had not changed the password using the same link. So for us to be able to do that, we're going to do if not bot. So if not, we're going to use the password reset generator. Then we call check token. So check token takes in a user and then the token. So pass a user and then the token. Okay, so if this returns false, that means the user had used the link before. So now we can tell the user that, oh, you used this link, or it's invalid, or try again, or something like that. So if this is the case, then we want to tell the user, we're going to do info. So we can say password link is invalid. Please request a new one. Not a new one, but a new one. Alright, so once this is the case, then we want to return, we basically want to return the same, we want to return a page where they can request a new one. So that will be this request page. Okay, so let's repress it. Okay, so now that we have this, now let's test it out. So here, I'm going to use the same link, reload. You can see that it's invalid, please request a new one. So if it's new, it's going to work fine. But if a user had used it, it's going to tell them that it's invalid. So which is good, which is what we want. So I'm going to be ending the video here. If you have any questions, please leave them in the comment section below. I'll see you guys in the next video. And by the way, if the video helped you out, please consider giving it a like. Subscribe to the channel for future videos. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.